Hi, last night I watched The People That Time Forgot, the 1977 period fantasy adventure based on the novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's a sequel to The Land That Time Forgot from 3 years earlier and was in itself the last film produced by Amicus, the Legends of 1960s portmanteau horror. It follows the previous film, which ended with Doug McClure and his young girlfriend being marooned on the island of Caprona, a mysterious walled continent set in the South Seas. His message has been received by his old friend, played by Patrick Wayne, and an expedition is dispatched to investigate the continent. He travels to the island along with an explorer, played by Thorley Walters, a photographer, played by Sarah Douglas, and an American mechanic, played by Canadian Shane Rimmer. They find all kinds of monsters and tribespeople, eventually locating Doug McClure himself before trying to make their escape back to civilization. It's very dull. um, the original film, I think, is remembered largely by those who saw it when they were very young and enjoyed all the monsters and cavemen and volcanoes and such. And this is really just trying to tread the same ground. There are monsters and volcanoes and cavemen, and this time there's a plane as well. There's no real villain character. There's just some various primitive tribesmen. The first film had the benefit of um, some intrigue on board the German ship, the World War One era German ship that they had reached the island with Anthony Ainley's Dietz trying to take control. But here we have no such conflict. The ship that they have originated from stays some distance away and is merely concerned about encroaching icebergs. There's a subplot about whether or not they'll be able to get the plane to fly again, but it really doesn't go anywhere because they do. There's some romance that doesn't really feel very natural. There's some very weak humor. It all feels very labored, very end of the rope. And it's really no surprise that this was Amicus's last film. And in fact, they went bankrupt before the film even came out. Um, there's very little to recommend it, really. There's some note in recognizing some of the supporting cast. It's nice to see Shane Rimmer having a significant on screen role after all his years of doing Thunderboyd's voiceovers or bit parts in Bond films. He even gets substantial scenes to himself. But really, there's not very much here. It's a film notable by its position in history and not for anything it's actually done itself. And as a result, I wouldn't recommend it. And frankly, I wouldn't recommend the first film very much either.